Da, 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 da.
All systems functioning within normal parameters.
John, I don't know if you know this, but the song that you gave me today, I'm actually weirdly excited about, and here's why. I don't think any other song is going to fall into this category.
Okay.
I have heard this song referenced dozens of times in my life. I could have even told you that this song is by Gordon Lightfoot,
Wow.
and I don't think I've ever heard it.
I don't think you've ever heard Gordon Lightfoot, or maybe you have heard a
Nope.
few songs by
I
Gordon
doubt
Lightfoot, but maybe you just didn't know it. But anyway, we are treating this as a new artist. Ring that bell, Dave.
Woo! I think I did. I pointed in the right direction.
No,
certainly didn't.
There we go. Yeah.
It's one of those things that is just such a referenced thing.
It's ubiquitous.
Yeah, it's all over the place. I've even gotten this question right at trivia before when asked something about this song. But I've never heard the lyrics. I've never heard the song. I've just heard it referenced so many times. I'm actually really excited to listen to this song because, come on. It's kind of weird I haven't heard it at this point.
Exactly. Well, the fellow humans listen to you, Dave, and that's pretty cool. Isn't that pretty cool? Hello, fellow humans.
Hello.
They listen to you, and here's what they say. Oh, Dave loves story songs. So I get a lot of these. Oh, if Dave loves story songs,
and I do,
he'll love this, he'll love that, he'll love the other thing.
And they're probably right.
Course, the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is a story song. This was, let's see here. This was first brought up when I started taking notes, because I think many people brought it up until I started actually taking down their names. Mr. the Camel, which he's now in the running for the best screen name of the week. Dwayne Anderson, and like I say, way too many others. And I know this song, and to me, because I'm a VOA, it's difficult for me to say, "Oh, I can't wait for Dave to hear this song."
Sorry, I don't know
VOA.
what that means.
Yeah, VOA is victim of availability. It's a little term I made up. It's when you will never hear me play for you, old time rock and roll, We Are Family, but
also know those songs.
Yeah, but right. They're just, to me, they're so common, and I've heard this song so many times. I remember the first dozen times, I'm like, oh, that cool song about the Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I'm over it. But
well, I haven't even begun.
Great. You haven't even begun yet. So it's really a great and sad and powerful story, sung well, interesting, and now it's for you.
All right, cool. Well, I'd kind of like to get to it, so here we go.
Haunting, a little haunting. Maybe we should throw the orange up because it's haunting.
I don't know if I'll go that far.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down at the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy.
That was a good rhyme. Goomy?
Yeah.
I mean,
with a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early. The ship was the pride of the American side, coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. As the big freighters go, it was bigger than most, with a crew and a captain well seasoned, concluding some terms with a couple of steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. Then later that night when the ship's bell rang, could it be the north wind they'd been feeling? And the wires made a tattletale sound, and the wave broke over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. The dawn came late and the breakfast had to wait when the gales of November came slashing. When afternoon came, it was freezing rain in the face of a hurricane west wind. When supper time came, the old cook came on deck saying, fellas, it's too rough to feed you. At 7 p.m. a main hatchway caved in. He said, fellas, it's been good to know ya. The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and crew was in peril. And later that night, when his lights went out of sight, came the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Does anyone know where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours? The searchers all say they'd have made Whitefish Bay if they'd put 15 more miles behind her. They might have split up or they might have capsized. They may have broke deep and took water. And all that remains is the faces and the names of the wives and the sons and the daughters. Lake Huron rolls, Superior sings in the rooms of her ice water mansion. Old Michigan steams like a young man's dreams. The islands and bays are for sportsmen. And farther below, Lake Ontario takes in what Lake Erie can send her. The iron boats go as the mariners all know, with the gales of November remembered. In a musty old hall in Detroit, they prayed in the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral. The church bell chimed till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. The legend lives on from the Chippewa down of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. Superior, they said, never gives up her dead when the gales of November come early.
Huh. I never know what to expect going into these things, and especially with something that I've heard referenced just so many times in my life. I don't know what I expected here. But they did an excellent job of making a song with lyrics that are somber and that makes you feel sad, while at the same time, like, delivering interesting music. I love that you had different things coming in the background, and every layer of new instrumentation helped tell the story of how you should feel while you listen to this story.
Right, right.
So I think musically it was very well done. Lyrically, I mean, I'm not going to break down the lyrics. It's quite obvious what the song's about. The title's in, and then it's just a story about it. But it was a well-written story. Some of the rhymes I really did enjoy, but even just some of the imagery through words, with the sound of the wind shaking all of the cords and wires, and like there's so much imagery in there that just like evokes in you wanting to close your eyes and feel like you're there.
Yeah.
And I think it is a well-written story. It's a well-sang story. And he lets the story be told. So I think a lot of times singers can occasionally do that thing where they try to be the star. They try to show their acumen, how great they are at their craft. And I think sometimes that can actually detract from what they're singing because you start to notice what they're doing more than what they're talking about. And this song did a very good job of just telling the story and making sure that everything from the instrumentation to the vocals was doing nothing but pushing forward the narrative for you to feel the emotion of the story. I think it was very well executed. I'm sad because that's how the song made me feel, but I'm thrilled because that was really cool to be able to finally listen to something that I don't even have an excuse, like I have the internet. I've had the internet for decades. I could have gone and listened to the song.
You could have heard that song at some point in your life.
Like there's even been times that I've heard it referenced that I've thought, man, I need to listen to that song. And then you went on with whatever you were in the middle of and you forgot about it 2 minutes later. So this is it. This is the moment I finally did it. And it honestly made me really sad, but like in a good way because it was supposed to.
It's like a sad movie, a sad story, and it does evoke emotion. I mean, I think he did an amazing job of describing things, like you said, right down to, it wasn't just 29 men that lost their lives. It was their wives and their sons and their daughters, Yeah,
and their siblings and their parents and their friends. And like when someone dies, especially unexpectedly like that, like they leave a hole where they were a part of a social network. And I don't mean that in the online sense. I mean that in the real world sense. And there is a hole there that can't really be filled. It's very sad. So I'm going to show some of my ineptitude here, which is never a thing I have a problem admitting to. I thought the Edmund Fitzgerald was like an old wooden sailing ship. I didn't realize this was a modern song.
Oh, yeah. The actual event happened in November of 1975.
Yeah, for some reason, I was thinking like 1800s. I had no idea this was such a modern thing. I had clearly done zero research about this topic. And it was one of those things like when it happened, when did you say 80s, 70s, 80s?
75.
Yeah. So like it was a thing that I'm sure if you were alive and cognizant in 75, it would have left an impression. But when you were born in 86, like, it's left the public eye completely outside of being memorialized in song in this specific way.
But it clearly had its impact on Gordon Lightfoot because he's listed as the song writer. There's no other name. And he recorded it in the following month. He recorded it in December of 75.
Oh, wow. So this is still fresh to him when it happened. That is interesting.
And he's Canadian, and he recorded it in Toronto. So, I mean, that had to be huge news up there, and what terrible loss of life. And, what can you do? I mean, it brings up emotion in me just kind of talking about it. The story itself. So, but now from a musicality standpoint, that's one of the finest recorded songs. That is near song recording perfection in my mind.
Do you mean the recording process itself or the actual musicians playing it?
The musicians playing it were okay. The recording process and the end result.
Oh, you mean just how clean it was?
How clean it was. Something rare in music up until maybe the 80s would be that every drum on the drum kit had its own mic.
Mm.
And in this case, it's clear to me every drum had its own mic. This wasn't an overhead mic'd drum kit. The slight reverb echo that comes in with the snare, the preciseness of all that makes it, for me. Remember, I'm not the lyrics guy, even though I knew the lyrics of this. I'm the guy who's impacted emotionally by songs as well. And good production for me goes a long way toward having that impact on my body that music can have. So musically, the guitar sounds were clean, the acoustic sound was clean. Too many times acoustics can sound tinny, and in this song, they're perfect. The lead guitar part was haunting, and it was forward but not up in your nose. Just so much about the production of this song was amazing. So I have hats off to Lenny Waronker and Gordon Lightfoot, who shared production duties on this song.
And this song officially Rainy Day playlist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
This is
if
very,
you want to cry.
Yeah, this is very much on. But I mean, I think this actually fits the vibe of pretty much everything else that's on my Rainy Day playlist. Yeah, excellent song. Will listen again, weirdly enough, that I've never listened to it until now. But yeah, I would gladly listen to it again. Good pick, whoever picked it.
Yes, all y'all. Now, later on, after, it came out and everything, because they didn't release it, oddly, for another 6 months or something. But anyway, when it became a hit, some time had passed, and I think Gordon had written it based on the facts that they had at the time, and a lot of the information, it turned out, was wrong. The ship was, according to the lyrics, fully loaded for Cleveland, but in fact, it was headed to Zug Island near Detroit. It was not coming back for some mill in Wisconsin. It was iron ore loaded at a dock, not a mill. The captain's last words were, "We're holding our own, not there's water coming in."
Oh, well, that's a wildly different thing to say.
Yeah, I mean, he did say hours earlier, he said that they were taking in some water, but his last thing was, "We're holding our own." So he didn't. Apparently, it seems to me that a wave must have been the thing that did it in, because the captain felt they were going to make it. Let's see here. Anything else that's important. I think that's enough. That's enough. That's important as far as the details of the event. But great story song and a great musically a great song.
Yeah, if you have more suggestions for story songs, please let us know down in the comments. I really do enjoy story songs a lot. In some ways, I think I don't have to figure them out, which I really enjoy the puzzle of figuring out lyrics. It's part of the reason we do this in the first place. Like I always say, we will do this as long as it's fun. And I really enjoy that puzzle. But there's something about a story song that's so enjoyable to, instead of puzzling, just go on a journey. And as opposed to just a story being told, when you have music to it, you can go on a journey where you're also helped in the emotional ride of the story journey. So I think that's why I like story songs so much and why this one was so good.
Yeah, it was very good.